All right, update on my progress of this cutting. The last time I gave you guys a video was about 5 days ago. Plant, for being 5 days cut from its original base, these are still very green, so I'm going with it is rooted or is in the process of doing so. Well, I was gone over the weekend and left it. So it's looking like it's healthy. While I am here, 'cause you can see outside, kind of overcast. We're in the winter. So I do my best to supplement with a foliage light. Get a bulb for that. I'm trying to encourage my plants to be as healthy, as happy as possible. In my mind, in my theory, that's going to encourage to be healthy. So I'm going with it as rooted. Because I'd been gone for 5 days and all of it looks healthy. I did water it incredibly well. This is just a makeshift setup. I'll have to get a proper pot for this, and this is just a bottom to another pot that I'm borrowing. I'll probably reuse this little setup for the rest of these. I want to go ahead and do that. These guys are all really thick and really healthy. I do not believe I'm going to do much of anything to try and straighten this guy out. I kind of like its awkward twistiness. This happens when you leave them in a window like I had and you don't turn it enough. They'll all start to lean in one direction. They'll start to fight each other. This one, actually, of the three, when I bought it, was the smallest and the shortest. And because of that, I turned it into the window. It became the fattest. And slowly became the tallest. Then I had to turn it. As you can tell, as I do these videos, what I talk about becomes more and more. One of the details I did not share when I did the cutting from here is as you're cutting this top part off, it did come off very easily, but I had to, after I got halfway in, I had to pull up on it, on this part. Probably grabbed it around here and lifted because its own weight was dropping on the saw blade and I wasn't able to cut through. So it cuts through really easy with that little hacksaw I bought. So this whole process cost you maybe 20 bucks. 10 bucks for the little hacksaw, 20 bucks for the rooting agent. And what everyone has told me is with these kinds of plants, you don't need it. But I bought it, so I'll probably, until the bottle's gone, use rooting hormone to encourage it. But just as an FYI, when you're doing that cut, you're going to have to pull up on the piece that you're cutting off. I pulled up with considerable amount of force. I didn't pull the bottom pot up, but I pulled on it with enough force to maybe lift the whole thing up, but this is huge and heavy. But when I did that, I was able to finish the cut easily. So keep that in mind when you're cutting this top part off from your base, that it's going to be easy of a cut. And the moment it stops being an easy of a cut, you need to grab a hold of this piece and lift up with considerable force to finish. And that part was easy. I was using this to do my support, and because of how tight I had to have the base to get the height, it was a little bit awkward being in the middle of all of it. So it's not a perfect setup, but considering the amount of money I spent out of my pocket, I'm liking it. I encourage anyone to do it that way. Go as cheap as possible. Now this giant bag of potting soil It's just something I got from our local greenhouse or nursery, our local company that was still open in the winter. I believe our local one is the only one that's really open, is our Earl May. Whatever name brand this company is. It's just who they had. It was the biggest bag. Otherwise, I would have spent a lot more on smaller bags. I like to go for stuff that has earthworm castings in it. Try to stay as natural as possible. That's my preference. I've gotten what I believe is good results. And for other people that don't know this is something I've done for all my plants that I learned from someone. I put crushed quartz in the soil about here. From what I've been told, the crushed quartz helps stabilize the pH of the soil. I've gotten good results out of all my plants, so it's something that I now do. It's kind of an odd thing to go find, but a lot of times if you have a local gem store, they might have crushed quartz, because you can use crushed quartz to be decorative for the top of the soil as well, but I like to put it in the soil. So yeah, as I get move more forward, I will post more videos, give everyone more results on what I got. Again, I wouldn't have trimmed these guys unless I didn't have a choice. I was running out of ceiling space. And this is how big these plants get after, I believe I've had these, if I'm remembering right, this thing's about 10 years old. Because I bought this right when I moved in here. And they were down to here. This is about where they were in height. Man, this thing looked like a bush. So as long as you're not throwing fertilizers in, they will grow slow, and you want that. Because when they hit the ceiling, they don't stop growing. And when they do hit the ceiling, they start to turn over and bend, like this guy did right here. When I did my cutting, this guy was just wedged up into the ceiling. So yeah, as I get more results, I'll let you folks know what I got. And by the way, this over here, this base in the spring is supposed to sprout up new leaves of its own. I had bought one from a store that it's supposed to look like what it's going to happen is this guy over here. It's the very same plant or type of plant. Someone had already done this at a nursery and got this guy growing. In order to keep them growing as straight up as possible, at least once a week, from what I've been told, you give them a 180 turn. That way they don't start leaning towards one plant source or another. But ideally what I'm going to end up with is that other base is going to end up with this type of new leaf foliage coming out of itself. It'll just decide to sprout out of itself. Alright folks, until the next video.